Hello. Okay, so there's going to be a hiss when this mic is on, but I'm going to try to remember to mute it between things. I'm not going to A/B the compressor. I just have the compressor on because that's what the compressor is there for. Um, but I am going to start with the tone styler. So right now I have it totally open in the bypass, and then I'll play with some different settings, and I'll try to remember to mute this microphone while I play, just so you don't have to listen to that. So this setting, I think they might call it a suboctave or something, but it's like beyond having your tone rolled all the way off. And then this would be having your tone rolled all the way off. And then you got your clicks. Alright, so all the way off, and then like 1, 2, or 3 clicks. Oh, and I forgot to mute the mic. Haha. Okay, so let's turn the micro tube on, and I'm gonna have to keep kind of adjusting back here as I add things, and the gain goes up. So we got that saturation. Isolated, it sounds pretty dirty, but this is not distortion. Distorts. This is saturation. Just you're listening to it in isolation, so it's gonna sound dirty. Alright, I'm gonna turn the A B the line selector on, and I'm gonna start with A, which is the tone hammer. And adjusting the gain at the board. Right now, got a little bit of a boost on the low, a little bit of a cut in the low mids, and I think the treble should be about flat. Alright, so now we're going to start mixing in our B. So let's just do big muff. Alright, now we're going to do just suboctave. Now we're going to run the big muff with all that sustain into the suboctave. Alright, so I was being really careful. Once I have that thumpinator, I can hit that big open D or B on the fretless and have the suboctave on. This is gonna be a little scary at the end, so. So just real quick, I don't do a good job of saying the brand name and what it is when I'm holding it up. Oh, you can see my sleep mask. But I will put like Sweetwater links and related links in the. Oh, this is gonna happen. So yeah, there'll be links in the description to everything, and yeah, and I'll do a little demo. Um, yeah, I'll do a demo and just sort of go through the chain and add things to the chain, and just have that accumulation of all the things at the end of the video. Okay, stuff to get off my chest. This time, I'm going to try to keep it short and on point. And so, first off, I bought probably, one pig hog camo cable, and I don't know what I started with, but once that became the thing, so here's 6-inch, foot long, and 3-footers. and so these are what's going on the board. Um, I use Pig Hog a lot. I've never had an issue with them. Um, uh, the one time I did reach out to them and went ahead and canceled something that they'd put on back order. No issues. And all right, so then um, my power source. I had three guys help me build this, and so my sweet water guy Dibs, my best friend going all the way back to grade school Bob, and James, who's younger than me, and I actually was like his leader when he was in junior high youth group, but he's going on to have a career as a bass player and educator, and yeah, so Bob and James, when I talked to them, both emphasized the importance of a power source, and both independently said, I use this. So, you know, I got this. Didn't have to talk to my Sweetwater guy because my other two guys were, like in agreement without ever comparing notes. So yeah, this is. I'm scared to say the name of the company because I feel like I'm gonna screw it up, or I'm gonna say it right and still feel silly. So CIOKS, Soul. This has 5 outputs, but with daisy chaining, like, oh my gosh, you can run so many pedals off this. You could add your own daisy chain. Um, Number 5 is 18 volts, and everything else so far has been 9 volts. Bob has kind of warned me about mixing digital and analog, especially like things with echo time effects on the same power output, as far as having them daisy chained together. And so, yeah. But, all right, so cable and power. And then we're going to have a different t-shirt, and it's going to be a different day, but it works out. All right, so the bass goes to this first. Okay, I want you to see there's the output, other side is the input, nothing on this end, nothing on this end. It doesn't have power. What's in here is inside is actually a volume pot that's all the way up and kind of packed with foam so it doesn't float around. And then this is the Stellatone Tone Styler Bass 10, which is a passive tone control. And instead of having one capacitor that as you roll it, the high end gets dumped in, this has a true bypass, what's called a load, but doesn't have any tone engaged, and then you have 7 precise capacitors that's basically just going and rolling down your tone. Okay, so your next to last should be comparable to having your tone rolled all the way down, and then the last one is something different, like even more, like beyond that. And so the thing is, when you use a tone, when you use the tone on your guitar or your bass, it's a very simple, just taking the high end and rolling it off and dumping it in this capacitor, but you lose mid range. And so I can only speak for the bass, but it always sounds like the sound is coming like from the back of the speaker and not coming out. with this, and I'll demonstrate this. When we get to the end of the signal chain, and then I have the chorus on, I'll go back to this, and because once things are happening and you start playing with this, it's a huge impact, and so I do roll my tone down quite a bit. I do kind of take some of that edge off. With this, I can do that and more. And so this is, and the reason I put it on a pedal is because rather than by the time you buy one of these controls and then have it put in and added into an instrument, whereas with this I can just plug in and use this with all instruments, and so it's going on the board. All right, so this is pre-power, pre-buffering. It's basically a bass wire harness in a pedal. Oh, and I got this like skateboard. I always call it skateboard tape, and so I can turn this with my foot and put my foot on there and turn the tone control. And then I was looking at these new Korg where it's like the whole top of it is an LED, but the there's that like phantom of an electric signal. I don't know what that is, but so there's this Korg tuner with the whole top of it is an LED display, and kid at church has one, and I was like, ooh, that's cool, and like I had and they have one specific to bass, and so I had that like on my radar like the whole time, and then Bob has the TU3, the Boss TU3, which he's had from the beginning of and so there is one of the guiding philosophies is to future proof, like do it once, do it right. And so this is the Boss TU3W, which is the Waza, which means it's made in Japan, and it buffers. And so I got this just knowing like this will outlive me. Someday, if one of the nieces or the nephew gets into the bass, one day they'll be using this, and possibly their children will be using this because it is a Boss tuner. All right, so the next pedal in the chain is the Dark Glass Microtubes vintage Microtubes. In this era of recording and gearing up, I just wasn't. My bass sounded fine. Recording with the interface, definitely leveled up and did some experimenting with the controls in the Yamaha app, but it their amp sim, whatever, that was just distortion. I don't use distortion per se, and I'm very choosy about it. Not listening, like I'm not. I whatever you're doing, as long as you're doing it good, I can enjoy it. But for me, distortion is not my But I wanted something to kind of take my recording tone to the next level, and my Sweetwater guy said, "Get this guy." Months later, talking to James, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got one of those. They're great." So I've marked a couple settings. The blue, the more blue one, is kind of matches the Dub King, because the Dub King is like Tiffany blue, and so that gives you more of the 60s vintage like a Motown B15 or those like hand built tube uh, direct boxes that they had in the studio in Motown. Um, yeah, and then playing with it, I kind of found what I think is a sweet spot or something that I liked for the fretless. This pedal, I mean, even if you put the drive and the blend just all the way up, this pedal it's gonna sound better with this pedal on than not having it on. Although having it all the way up is an extreme, which you can do, and yeah. So I like this is good. Um, the Kali, the Origin Effects Kali 76, and they have a few different options under that. It's a gold standard. It's expensive. Uh, it gives you some control parameters that are definitely desirable, and I think some people are totally valid in spending more money to to be able to control those variables. Um, I went with this, and so this is the pedal 76, which is also based on an 1176, which is where you know this the 60s compressor. So yeah, this has some really vintagey goodness. It has the attack and release as separate knobs, which is something that the Kali 76 ties together. And so my James, who uses a Kali 76, is like, yeah, I kind of wish like it's kind of nice to have those, but then he's got other things he control. This is a really good compressor, and at the price point is a great alternative to the Kali 76. I'm really happy with this guy. All right, so Bob, as we're going back and forth and having conversations about this, Bob keeps coming back to this idea of parallel, and I had to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with it and get my head around it, um, and but he sent me a Boss pedal that was he sent me the link, so it was also a Boss, and it had three effects loops that you could mix, but it also had some sort of EQ circuit for each one, and that kind of some sort of coloration at that point uh, was not something so then I kind of kept looking, and I found this guy. And so this guy has a bunch of different settings here, and one of those settings is to mix an A and a B, okay? And so you have an A effects loop, a B effects loop. You're able to mix those in parallel, and so kind of set the levels that you want for each one, and but you're not taking the two loops and then running them through each other, and so kind of when I get to A and B, I can kind of go into that more. But this this was not on my radar. It wasn't even in my knowledge base. Um, but luckily Bob hipped me onto that, and I defer to people who know stuff better than me. Like I that's one of my good qualities is I'm able to go, well, I don't know, so this guy seems to know, so I will listen to him, and then if it doesn't work out for me, I will let him know he's an idiot later. So and Bob is not an idiot. All right, so on the A loop at this time is so my A loop is basically my clean. My A loop is just the bass preamp. This is James. This is James' old tone hammer. He upgraded to the V2. This is gonna be on the board for a while. Um, Possibly this board will never get changed out, but one, the back to the whole thing of distortion. I'm never gonna use this AGS, and so there is some preamps that intrigue me, and one that I would need to try before I'd prefer to try everything. The reason the reputation of these is awesome. Two, I had a OB3 onboard preamp by these guys in the Fenderstein years ago, and so which doesn't have a distortion circuit, but as far as the sweepable mids, the treble and the bass at those frequencies, so I had experience with this, and maybe it's something where this stays on the board, but then I add, in like a Boss EQ, and that way I can cut, my low mids on the EQ pedal and use this to kind of get more of a fretless bite or whatever, and I'm not using it just to get that 500 frequency cut. But yeah, I'm not shopping for a preamp, but like, did you know that Ashdown's Geezer Butler lets you have like 2 EQ settings, but it's not. None of them are perfect, but they're all really interesting. Like, what if I won the lotto and I just built like a pedal board that was just like 4 different bass preamps? Like, this is probably a good thing that I don't have all the money, because I would spend all the money. All right, so A is the preamp. B, this is how I'm currently using B, and I'm really kind of liking this, and it'll be interesting to try it out live and get some feedback. What I've been doing is I have the bass big muff with no dry signal, the sustain on all the way. Okay? And so it's just, I hit a note and that note just goes till I go to the next note or I stop the note. Okay? And then I have that running into my suboctave with no direct, so no dry signal, just all octave down, because I don't need the dry on this. I don't need the dry on this, because my dry is the A mix on this. Okay, and so then I can turn this off and get that big muff tone mixed with my dry. I could turn this off, and I don't need to have this on to use this, but having this sustain feed into this and having that underneath my clean signal, that's been a lot of fun. And that may be my sound. That may be what I'm doing. See, I gotta keep this. Really becomes the manifold of the board, and so then my line out, which is a mix of A and B, goes into this guy. I'm not gonna lie, It's green and it has a triceratops on it. Okay. Um, if it wasn't green and it didn't have the triceratops on it, I don't know I, if I would have deep dived on this. Um, but this is a really, really good chorus pedal that gives you a lot of options sonically with recording. And so I'm always gonna be able to get a usable live chorus effect when when I want to use that, when I want to kind of do that like octavey fretless Tony Levin thing. Um, um, but the reason that this kind of moved to the top of the list and then kind of passed it passed on its own merit. Okay, let's say that this passed on its own merit, but the reason that it was easy to um, kind of gravitate towards this one, it's green and it has a triceratops. So this is going to be um, well, at some point in the signal, there's going to be the Thumpinator high pass filter, which I believe does a hard frequency cut at 25 hertz. And so just anything too low, anything beyond frequencies that you just do not want to send to front of house. So maybe that comes after the chorus. Maybe that comes in the B signal of after the suboctave. I gotta get it and figure out where it goes, but so that's the last piece of the puzzle is the high pass filter and where does it go. But the final thing before front of house is this Telefunken active DI. All my basses are passive pickups. The fretless does have an onboard active preamp, but I don't have the batteries in it. I don't use the active preamp, and so I have a active DI which needs the 48 volt phantom power from the front of the house, which I'm also able to do off my Yamaha recording interface, which I'm also using right now because I'm using the little mic booster to get a little bit more headroom out of this little cheap Shure mic. Yeah, cool. So yeah, now I gotta put everything back together and packages. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm gonna talk about this. It's not going on the board, but there's going to be times where I bring it along and have it next to, especially if I'm like doing, my band or or if I'm, yeah, I have some stuff that I'd like to do, but I use this all the time recording. This guy is worth its weight in gold. And I run synthesizer through it. I use it for a lot of reverb, delay. This thing is really really good to have, and so even though it's not going on this board, this is a cool unit that gets used all the time.